Hello there everyone, welcome back to Cyberwhale and I hope you all are doing well. And I also guess so and hope so that you guys have understood and the topics that we have discussed in the previous videos and the sessions regarding the week 1 and week 2 content is pretty clear to you guys. So here we are today to discuss about the week 3 content, and we are going to proceed for the week with the week 3 content that is basically about the topic gaining access, as how to gain access over the system that we have discussed about, or the target, particularly about a target or a system or a web server, how to perform gaining access, and what are the subtopics that we are going to discuss, and what particularly we are going to divide the modules into. So as we have discussed till now that about the day modules, it is going to be day 6, 7, and then moving on further is going to continue. And in the previous video we have discussed about the day 7 content, that was a overview of the week 1 and week 2 content, as well as the Q&A session that was common questions that people were thinking and are thinking about CEH V13 exam. So for this video, we are going to discuss about the topic of the day 8 content and module, which is basically system hacking basics. In this video, we are going to discuss about the system hacking basics, which comprises of subtopics like you can say exploit. What is exploit? Exploit types, and privilege escalation. Then moving on further, we have is overview of metasploit framework. So yeah, as I have already told you, metasploitable 2.0 or 2.2, you should not need to, or you do not need to install it in your system, because instead of this we can use MSF console in our Kali Linux, because it is also a good payload system or a framework or a tool that you can use in to perform privilege escalation or exploit types. And this is going to be a really helpful tool in order to perform privilege escalation and exploitations. And then comes the hands-on, and as we all know that for the hands-on we are going to obviously have a new video. So for yeah, before we proceed further and before we move on, I have one thing to make clear. For this particular session, guys, we'll be going to have uh, three parts, that is basically part 1, 2, and 3. And why so part 3 parts? As we all know that for hands on we always had a new session and a new video, so part 3 is going to be a full hands on video. Just give me a second. Yeah, for the third we will be having for the hands-on. And as we know, the exploit types and privilege escalation is a little bit of complex topic, and it is a big topic. So to make it easier and understandable to you guys, we are going to divide it into the part 1 and part 2, in which particularly part 1 and part 2 we are going to discuss is, just give me a second. Yeah, and what basically we are going to discuss is, in part 1 we are going to discuss about the system hacking. That is for the today's video. What we are going to discuss about the system hacking, what is exploit, and what are the types of exploits. Just give me a second. Exploits, yeah. So this is what the context of part 1 is going to be, and moving on further for the part 2 we'll be discussing about the privilege escalation. Then moving on, for the privilege escalation, types of privesc. And for the types of privesc, we'll be also discussing how to perform privilege escalation. It could be on, rather it could be on Windows, or it could also be on Linux. And that's how we are going to divide our context in the modules in part 1, part 2, and part 3 for this particular day 8 session. So without wasting time, let's just hop on to the topic and discuss about the part 1 context. So if you're ready and if you're excited to learn about the privilege escalation, system hacking, exploit, and types of exploit, drop down the comment, guys, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe the video. So let's just start with the part 1, that is system hacking. As the word suggests, system hacking, to hack into the system. A simple and a basic information about the system hacking, and the definition to it is to hack into the system. To hack into the system. Rather, it could be unauthorized or authorized. Unauthorized. Just a second. Unauthorized or authorized. I made a mistake, guys. Just give me a second. I forgot the, yeah, authorized, unauthorized, and Authorized. Why isn't it? Yeah, authorized. And that is what we are going to discuss. Basically, as the system hacking suggests, it is more over an unauthorized access to the system, guys, rather than an authorized, because it is a kind of illegal activity. But as an ethical hacker, we are going to do it in a way to find and fix the vulnerabilities instead of doing a malicious intent or malicious activity. So moving on further, will be just I'll be just firstly writing out its definition so that you guys can easily understand what I meant by explaining you the system hacking. System hacking is basically the process of gaining the unauthorized access. Okay, I forgot to write H in between. Unauthorized access over the, you can say, access over the computer system, network, or devices with the intent of exploiting vulnerability or weakness. Unauthorized access over the system, network, or you can say devices. It could be any kind of device: mobile phone, laptop, tablet, system, or you can say our smart TV, smart watches. It could be anything, guys. That is what system hacking is. Basically, it is the process of gaining unauthorized access over the system or network or devices with the intent of exploiting, just give me a second, exploiting the vulnerabilities or weaknesses. दैट मीन्स गाइज हम लोग क्या करने वाले हैं, इसका एक सिंपल सा मीनिंग इन हिंदी आई एम गोइंग टू एक्सप्लेन इट टू यू, कि अनऑथराइज एक्सेस लेना किसी सिस्टम, नेटवर्क या डिवाइस के ऊपर उसकी वल्नरेबिलिटीज़ या वीकनेसेस को एक्सप्लॉइट करने के इंटेंशन से। यानी कि let's just take an example. Let's say this is my mobile phone, or you can say victim's mobile phone. Just take an example of a victim's mobile phone. Okay, let me write it over here. Victim's mobile phone. Yeah, here it goes, victim. And I wanted to take I took a, you can say, I took an unauthorized access. I got an unauthorized access over the system. I got the unauthorized access over the system. Then what I can do is, I'll check for its loopholes, you can say, or you can say I will scan the whole system in order, just give me a second, in order to check what kind of version it is using. To check what, let's say, to check what kind of version, or you can say software, the system is using, the system or mobile phone, just a sec, or mobile phone is using. So as you can see, what kind of version or software, if we get to know what the particular version or software the system or mobile phone is using, what we can do, we can find out, we can check rather it is older version or the newer version. और इससे क्या होगा, हमको पता लग जाएगा if it is using any kind of older version or any kind of problem is into the system, then what we can do is we can exploit it in order to get the whole access to the system. फुल एक्सेस मिल जाएगा क्योंकि हमने एक्सप्लॉइट कर ली उसकी सिस्टम। या तो हमको उधर से इन्फॉर्मेशन मिल जाएगी, कोई सेंसिटिव इन्फॉर्मेशन वी कैन गैदर, और वी कैन ऑल्सो गैदर, you can say what, like images or contact details, or you can say Gmail information regarding Gmail ID, password, username, anything we can get. And that's how this thing works, and that's how you can say that system hacking is performed. इस तरह से some system hacking perform कर सकते हैं. That is a malicious intent, guys. Basically system hacking is illegal and unethical. Wait a second, let me write it over here. Yeah, let me write it here. System hacking is basically hacking is basically malicious, you can say unethical, and illegal activity. But as being an ethical hacker, as being an ethical hacker, okay, I forgot to put the L. Yeah, but as being an ethical hacker, it's our responsibility. It's our responsibility. Responsibility. It's our responsibility to perform things in a ethical way, right? So, as an ethical hacker, how we can perform system hacking and what we can do, what we can, just give me a second, let me just follow it up. Yeah, and I'll just write it here. What we can do to perform system hacking as an ethical hacker. सो इसका मतलब है कि हमको क्या करना चाहिए टू परफॉर्म इट लीगली एंड you can say ethically. As an ethical hacker, how to perform system hacking to do it in a ethical and a legal way. इसका मतलब सीधा सा है guys, हमें चीज़ें ethically करनी है, legally करनी है. So हम कैसे करेंगे? Being an ethical hacker, it involves, system hacking involves the usage of, you can say, usage of hacking techniques. I guess I did mistake, right? Yeah. Usage of hacking techniques to find and fix vulnerabilities. To find and fix vulnerabilities. That is very simple, guys. इसका मतलब है कि हमको fix करनी है और find करनी है vulnerabilities before the attacker does. Before the attacker do or attacker does. In short, it involves the usage of ethical hacking tools and techniques in order to find and fix those vulnerabilities before the attacker does. That means, guys, अगर हमने find कर ली vulnerability, if we get to know the vulnerability behind, you can say, behind or inside, yeah, inside the system. If we get to find behind or inside the system the vulnerability, then we can get to know what we can do in order to fix it. क्योंकि अगर हमें वल्नरेबिलिटी का पता है तो वी कैन गेट टू नो कि हाँ, इस वल्नरेबिलिटी को इस तरीके से फिक्स किया जा सकता है, या वी कैन फाइंड अ काइंड ऑफ सोल्यूशन फॉर दैट वल्नरेबिलिटी इन ऑर्डर टू प्रोटेक्ट द सिस्टम. एंड दैट्स हाउ ethical hackers work. They keep on testing the websites, and they keep on testing and finding the vulnerabilities or loopholes or threats inside the system in order to fix them before an attacker could exploit them. That means before the attacker exploits, कि अटैकर एक्सप्लॉइट करेगा तब तक हम लोग उस साइट को बार बार टेस्ट करके और फाइंड करके वल्नरेबिलिटीज को फिक्स कर पाएंगे. एंड दैट्स हाउ सिस्टम हैकिंग वर्क्स, गाइस. एंड इफ नाउ वी टॉक अबाउट द टूल्स दैट आर यूज्ड फॉर सिस्टम हैकिंग, okay, we will be discussing about the tools for system hacking. Just give me a second. Yeah, tools for system hacking that we can basically use are, you can say, nmap, wireshark, as I already stated, metasploit. You can also use, guys, msf console, as I already told you. Then comes the aircrack ng. Another one that we can use is, you can say, John the Ripper. Another one is netcat is, to connect with the system, and as I have already told you in the previous videos, netcat is to connect and listen to the system, what it is doing and how it is performing things. That's how you can perform the system hacking. This is a particular thing. For the hands-on, I'll be coming soon with the hands-on for this particular session, so do not worry that how we are going to perform it. I'll just show you the type how to perform system hacking, but it is just for the educational purpose, guys. I'm repeating it again and again in each and every single video. Do not use it in a malicious ways, or do not perform any malicious activity using these tools and techniques that we are learning to be an ethical hacker. So now you get to know how to perform system hacking. There is one thing inside of the you can say inside of the system hacking, that is basically, again I'll be coming back to that point, and that is going to be, you can say, ethical hacking and malicious hacking. Ethical hacking and malicious hacking. So as we move on further, ethical hacking and malicious hacking, as I already told you what is the difference between ethical hacking and malicious hacking, so I don't think that I need to repeat, but still I'm going to repeat it for you guys, for the sake of you guys, so that you can understand it in a better way. Ethical hacking is, as I said, usage of uh, just give me a second, usage of hacking techniques in order to okay, in order to find and fix the vulnerabilities. And malicious hacking, if we discuss about malicious hacking, then comes in malicious hacking, what it is an unauthorized access of system for their own personal benefits, personal benefits. Right, guys? This is the difference, right? And it is unethical. So this is the difference between kind of ethical system hacking and malicious system hacking. So this needs to be taken very much care of, and you need to take a responsibility if you are becoming an ethical hacker. So you need to take care of it, be responsible, be ethical, be legal, guys, and perform and do it for the good sake. So moving on further, then comes up, there are the two important concepts. There are two important concepts. Okay, just give me a second. Two important concepts. There are two important concepts in system hacking. And what two important concepts are there and them? So we'll just hop on and we'll just do this. One, and then the number two. Any one of you know? If you know, put it in the comment section. I'll be glad to know that you guys know a bit about it. If you don't know, do not worry, I'm here for your rescue. So we'll be discussing two important concepts of system hacking, and one of them is exploit, and another is the privilege escalation. Okay, wait a second. Privilege escalation. Yeah. Two important concepts in system hacking are exploit and privilege escalation. And as I have already said, that for this particular video we are going to discuss about is exploit. And as we start with exploit, what is exploit, guys, and what do you understand by exploit? So I'll just write it over here. Just give me a second. Yeah, I'll just write it over here. Exploit. As the word suggests, guide, exploit करना, किसी चीज़ को exploit कर देना. Exploit in sense you can say कि किसी चीज़ के बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन को रिलीज कर देना, एक्सप्लॉइट कर देना, निकाल देना, to throw out the information about something, or to throw out, to you can say, to perform something. That is what exploit is in terms of cybersecurity and ethical hacking. So exploit, basically exploit क्या होता है, we'll be firstly doing about learning about it. It is a kind of software, guys, is a type of either a software. Okay, just give me a second. Software, it is a type of software, or you can say a piece of code, that takes advantage of a vulnerability, that takes up the advantage of the piece of code. I made a mistake again. Why I'm making so many mistakes today, I don't know. Advantages of the vulnerability or weaknesses. What weaknesses? In order to, or in a system, in order to gather particular information or to get into that system, in a system, or you can say network or applications. So exploit is basically a type of software or a piece of code that takes up an advantage of a vulnerability or weakness in a system. is in short इसका मतलब सीधा सा गाइज ये है कि जो जो टाइप ऑफ सॉफ्टवेयर जो एक्सप्लॉइट है वो क्या करता है, it runs in a backend, it runs in a backend, just a second, back end, in order to boom it. In short terms I am saying to boom things up, यानी कि ये बैकएंड में चलता है और किसी वीकनेस की या वल्नरेबिलिटी की, एज वी डिस्कस्ड सिस्टम हैकिंग क्या होती है, सिस्टम हैकिंग क्या करती है, ट्राइज टू गेट इन टू अ सिस्टम विद द अनफेयर मीन्स और विद द अनएथिकल मीन्स एंड वी फाइंड द वल्नरेबिलिटी देयर, राइट. तो एक्सप्लॉइट भी वही करता है, बट एक्सप्लॉइट क्या करता है, एक्सप्लॉइट का एक सिंपल सा काम ये होता है कि एक्सप्लॉइट वल्नरेबिलिटी को फाइंड आउट करने के बाद, जब एक्सप्लॉइट एक वल्नरेबिलिटी को ढूंढ लेता है आफ्टर डूइंग सिस्टम हैकिंग एंड रिकॉनेसेंस एंड एवरीथिंग, व्हेन वी गेट टू नो अबाउट द वल्नरेबिलिटी, what we can do is basically we can take an advantage of it, we can take an advantage of it to perform we can take an advantage of it to perform attack, or you can say as an ethical hacker, in order to perform attack, to get to know how get to know how severe the vulnerability is basically. एज एन एथिकल हैकर हम यही करेंगे ना कि हम उस वल्नरेबिलिटी के ऊपर अटैक करके देखेंगे कि कितनी सीवियर वो वल्नरेबिलिटी है, तो ताकि हम उसके हिसाब से उसकी क्रिटिकलिटी के अकॉर्डिंग वी कैन टेक एन एक्शन एंड वी कैन परफॉर्म, यू कैन से वी कैन फिक्स दैट एज सून एज पॉसिबल इन ऑर्डर टू प्रिवेंट आवर सिस्टम. दैट्स हाउ एक्सप्लॉइट वर्क्स गाइज. We basically exploit for this particular reason, and exploits are used to gain unauthorized access, as I told you earlier also ki that exploits are basically to, you can say, gain unauthorized unauthorized access, escalate privileges, या फिर या तो इसका काम होता है टू गेन अनऑथराइज्ड एक्सेस या फिर टू एस्केलेट, ओके, और टू एस्केलेट प्रिविलेजेस हमें पता है क्या होती है कि प्रिविलेजेस यानी कि गाइस सिंपल सी चीज़ है, प्रिविलेज मेरे पास उस चीज़ को करने का प्रिविलेज है, एक्सेस अधिकार है, दैट इज व्हाट प्रिविलेजेस, दैट आई हैव गॉट दिस राइट टू परफॉर्म दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग, दैट इज व्हाट बेसिक प्रिविलेजेस आर. लेट्स से आई हैव द privilege to release the videos and you guys have the privilege to see those videos. That what privilege mean, that you guys have got that particular right to do it. That is what it basically means. And or you can also say to perform malicious actions, to perform malicious actions. I guess you got to know what exploit is. Now moving on further and coming on to the last topic for this particular video, that is going to be the types of exploit, or you can say exploit types of exploits. There are four types of exploits, basically. One is remote exploit. Number two is local exploit. Number three is privilege escalation, privilege privilege escalation exploit. Then coming on further we have is DOS exploit. DOS exploit, guys, DOS you all know, denial of service, right? So we are going to discuss 3 out of them because we are going to cover the privilege escalation exploit in the upcoming video that is going to be correlated to the privilege escalation. So that's why I'm keeping it for now, and we are going to discuss only 3 of them, that is basically remote exploit, local exploit and DOS exploit. So coming on to the first type, that is remote exploit. As the name suggests, guys, remote मतलब कि रिमोट से कंट्रोल करना किसी चीज़ को, एज सिंपल एज दैट कि हम किसी चीज़ को रिमोट से कंट्रोल करते हैं, रिमोटली, लाइक हम रिमोट कंट्रोल गेम्स खेलते हैं, तो व्हाट वी आर बेसिकली डूइंग कि स्क्रीन पे चल रही है, समथिंग इज वर्किंग ऑन स्क्रीन एंड we are performing it using that particular using the remote, right? I guess this is pretty clear because हम लोग remote control games खेलते हैं and we basically do is कि हम remote से control कर रहे हैं चीज़ों को without directly interacting, मतलब हम यहाँ पे directly वेब सर्वर से इंटरैक्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं, वी आर नॉट डायरेक्टली accessing to the network, we are not directly accessing to the network, हम सीधा का सीधा एक नेटवर्क को एक्सेस नहीं कर रहे हैं इन दिस पर्टिकुलर केस, बिकॉज हम लोग एक जगह पे बैठे हैं एंड वी आर एक्सेसिंग समवेयर एल्सेस नेटवर्क, यानी कि let's just take an example, let me make it more clear to you, so you guys can understand. Let's say this is my region or my area, then moving on further, let's say this is another one's area, this is, okay, let me write it here, this is me, this is, let's say you, okay, this is you, this is me and this is you, and I want to access your network. I want to access your system. So how I'm going to do it from let's say, and here let's say I'm sitting in Kerala, and I want to access the data of yours place, that is you say Bangalore. सो आई गेस यू गाइज आर गेटिंग कि मैं क्या कहना चाह रही हूँ इधर, मेरे को केरल से बैठ के बेंगलोर का डेटा एक्सेस करना है या फिर सिस्टम एक्सेस करना है, सो हाउ आई एम गोइंग टू डू अ रिमोट एक्सप्लॉइट इन ऑर्डर टू get a remotely access of your particular system that is particularly in Bangalore over here. This is what remote exploit is. I guess it is clear, guys. Remote exploit सबको समझ आया. Let's just take one more example and say a vulnerability on, you can say, on a web server, कि तुम्हारे वेब सर्वर की कोई vulnerability है that I wanted to get it from my system. That's how we perform remote exploit. Now moving on to second point, that is you can say local exploit. Yeah, local exploit. अब local exploit क्या है guys? Local exploit, you guys might be thinking कि भाई local area वाले exploits. नहीं, that's not local exploit. It's not that kind of local exploit. Local exploit guys कि हाँ, यू कैन से दैट यू लोकल एरिया वाले, बट नॉट इन दैट पर्टिकुलर सेंस कि भाई लोकल एरिया वाले ही हैं, यू कैन परफॉर्म इट ऑन समवन एल्सेज ऑल्सो, बट हाउ यू कैन परफॉर्म इज लोकल एक्सप्लॉइट में एक चीज़ ये है कि what you can do is you might have a kind of some of the privileges, तुम्हारे पास रेगुलर यूज़र की कुछ कुछ प्रिविलेजेस हैं, कुछ एक्सेस कर सकते हो तुम, ऑलरेडी तुम्हारे पास कुछ एक्सेस है किसी चीज़ का पर्टिकुलर का, लेट्स से यू कैन, इसको इन शॉर्ट टर्म्स अगर कहें तो अटैकर ऑलरेडी हैव सम लेवल ऑफ access, so what in okay, so in this case क्या करना होगा is basically simply you can say, simply in simpler terms you can say कि attacker के पास already, you can say attacker already may, okay, already may have the regular users regular users access, यानी कि बिफोर एक्सप्लॉइटिंग, हमने कोई एक्सप्लॉइटेशन नहीं किया यहाँ पे. लेट्स जस्ट टेक एन एग्जांपल. I also get confused without giving you an example sometimes. Let's say this is a regular user, right? अब ये रेगुलर यूज़र है, इसका कोई यूज़र नेम होगा, यूज़र नेम पासवर्ड होगा, माइट बी देयर आर सम चांसेस कि उसने बहुत ईजी और सिंपल से यूज़र नेम रखे हो, लाइक यूज़र नेम कुड बी, यू कैन से लाइक लेट्स जस्ट से यूज़र नेम कुड बी 123 @ something like that, and password could be simple pass, yeah. दैट कुड बी पॉसिबल ना गाइस कि इतना ईजी था तो उसको, एंड सो समहाउ अटैकर गॉट द एक्सेस टू द रेगुलर यूजर्स एक्सेस प्रिविलेजेस। अगर उसके पास ऑलरेडी ये पर्टिकुलर डिटेल्स आ गई तो इट्स सिंपल कि उसके पास कुछ काइंड ऑफ एक्सेस है। ही और she have might already have some access to the system beforehand, right? तो अब अगर बिफोर हैंड है तो एक्सप्लॉइट करना ईजी हो जाएगा, हमें तो सिर्फ प्रिविलेज एस्केलेशन करनी होगी एंड वी गेट द फुल अकाउंट टेक ओवर, राइट गाइज? इस तरह से हमारे पास पूरा का पूरा सिस्टम का एक्सेस आ सकता है। बट अगर बिफोर हैंड उसके पास कुछ ऑलरेडी है, बिफोर एक्सप्लॉइट बिफोर हैंड सॉरी बिफोर हैंड टू द सिस्टम बिफोर एक्सप्लॉइटिंग, या बिफोर एक्सप्लॉइटिंग और बिफोर एक्सप्लॉइटेशन उसके पास कुछ एक्सेस है, तो इट बिकम्स ईजियर। दैट इज व्हाट लोकल एक्सप्लॉइट इज। लोकल एक्सप्लॉइट इज कि मतलब उसने लोकली पहले सारी चीज़ें चेक कर रखी है एंड लोकली ही गॉट टू नो अबाउट सम काइंड ऑफ username or password or some kind of privileges regarding that particular system. That's what is local exploit. I guess this is also clear, guys. Moving on to the next point, then comes the DOS exploit. इसमें गाइज वी डू नॉट नीड टू परफॉर्म एनी काइंड ऑफ एक्सप्लॉइटेशन, हमें यहाँ पे कोई एक्सप्लॉइटेशन नहीं करनी। दैट मीन्स कि there is no need to perform exploitation. This is just a cause to cause to you can say just give me a second. Let's just take an example here. Just understand one thing here, we don't need any access, or you can say we don't need any access or privileges over here. हमें यहाँ पे किसी access और privileges की ज़रूरत नहीं है to exploit, because the task of the DOS exploit is to cause system breakage, is to is to cause system breakage. And what do we mean by basically by system breakage? means कि system या services को unavailable करा देना. is to cause system breakage, that means to cause system or services to go unavailable. That means we cannot access this system or services, because as the name suggests, denial of service, deny कर देना, to deny the take up of the services. That what basically denial of services, that we are not taking any kind of services, we are unavailable, because people or the attacker, what the attacker did is attacker threw up, or you can say, or continuously sent the malicious packets without stopping, without pausing, in order pausing in order to go in order to go the services, to take the services down, or slow. And that's how the DOS, that is DOS exploit, takes place. And we don't need any kind of access or anything in order to perform DOS exploit. So till now what we have discussed, let's just revise it once so that you guys can get a better grasp about the topic. As I already discussed and I already told, part 1 is going to be a system hacking, exploit, and types of exploit. So we have covered up the system hacking. System hacking is basically a process of gaining the unauthorized access over the system network devices with the intent of exploiting the vulnerabilities or weaknesses. To get to know about the vulnerabilities, to exploit them, to attack on those vulnerabilities, to get an access. That is basically for the malicious activities. That is basically a malicious hacking, guys. So we, as an ethical hacker, we are not going to perform that. And to hack into the system unauthorized or authorized way. Let's just and here we took the example that mobile phone. Let's say this is a mobile phone of a victim. We got an unauthorized access. We will scan the whole system. We'll check for the vulnerabilities, loopholes, or threats or attacks we can perform because of detecting the loopholes into the system. And after detecting the loopholes, we can just exploit them by checking whether it is an older version and how it can be attacked and how it can take place. That's how we perform the system hacking, get into the access, get into the access with the you can say sensitive information like Gmail username, password, images, or SSD cards, or you can say the sensitive information regarding any of our documents that is really important, like Aadhaar card, or or you can say PAN card, or you can say credit card details or debit card details. That's how system hacking goes. And but as being an ethical hacker, then we discussed about the what we can do to perform system hacking as an ethical hacker. We're going to discuss it later, because firstly we're going to revise about the ethical hacking and malicious hacking. Ethical hacking is the usage of hacking techniques in order to find and fix the vulnerability. Being an ethical hacker, we need to find them and fix them before an malicious hacker, you can say an attacker, perform its task. So that is malicious hacking. What an attacker does to perform malicious activity. Now what we can do to perform system hacking as an ethical hacker, we involves the usage of hacking techniques. Like we use particular tools and techniques to in order to mitigate and remediate all of those vulnerabilities that we have found in a particular system, network, or devices, in order to prevent it from the attacker. Before the attacker do, we need to find and fix the vulnerability. That is the task of ethical hacker, and we can perform it in this way. And the tools basically used for performing system hacking is Nmap, Wireshark, Metasploit, that is MSF Console, Aircrack NG, John the Ripper, Netcat. And moving on further, I have told you that there are two important concepts of system hacking, that is exploit and privilege escalation. And in exploit, I have already made it pretty clear to you guys that exploit is basically a type of software or a piece of code that takes up the advantage of the vulnerability in order to get into the system. कि मतलब सिंपल वर्ड्स में कि एक सॉफ्टवेयर या पीस ऑफ कोड है जो कि एडवांटेज लेता है वल्नरेबिलिटी की जो कि हमें उस सिस्टम में मिली है टू गेट इनटू द सिस्टम. ओके, एंड इट रन्स इन द बैक एंड in order to boom things up. Simpler words. And taking an advantage of it to perform attack to get to know how severe the vulnerability is basically. We exploit things to get the advantage in order to understand कि वो vulnerability कितनी severe है या कितनी critical है. If it is of low risk, or if it is of high risk, or if it is of critical risk or severe risk. If it is of low risk, we can leave it for 1 week so that and we can perform it later if we do not have our system analyst, or you can say our ethical hackers side by side with us, or a penetration tester. If it is of high risk, then we need to take care of it within 2 days or 3 days. If it is critical, we need to take care of it as soon as possible, and we need to find our ethical hackers to come up and join our join our company and to do the task. That's how things work to the task of exploiters in order to gain unauthorized access, escalate privileges, and perform malicious actions. And in order then comes the types of exploit. As I have already discussed, that there are four types of exploit: remote exploit, local exploit, privilege escalation exploit, and DOS exploit. As already told you that privilege escalation exploit is going to be discussed in the upcoming video with the privilege escalation topic itself. So moving on further, we have is remote exploit. That is to take a remote access of particular system sitting from somewhere else without directly accessing to the network. That is what remote exploit is. And local exploit is that attacker already have some level of access or privileges in order to perform exploitation of and to get a privilege escalated and to get the escalated privileges in order to perform malicious intents. That's what local exploitation can help with. And the DOS exploiters, we do not need any access or privileges to exploit. It is just a system breakage or to make system or services go unavailable. So guys, I hope the video is clear and the discussion that we have made is understandable and pretty clear to you guys. If you guys understood it, do comment down your section, do comment down your previous review. I would love to see how you guys are enjoying your journey. If you guys like the video, please do subscribe to my channel Cyberwhale, and if you like the video, hit the like button. Do not forget to share it with your friends and colleagues so that they can also get to know about this particular CH313 exam ethical hacking journey, bug hunting journey that is going to be coming up sooner or later, and also the penetration testing. So bye bye guys, till the time, take care. Hope you would love the video and enjoy the session, and bye bye guys, take care.